Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this broadcast of Slipstream Racing. This is the gold tier, and this is season 7, round number 3, that will be taking place around the Bahrain International Circuit. If you have not subscribed to this channel, you can do so, as I will be doing the coverage for the Slipstream Racing Gold tier races tonight, obviously, and for the rest of the season, which would be the remaining 5 races after this round today is complete. And then also, if you would like to, you can like the video if you want to. Not really necessary, as this channel is only used to do the commentary for these Slipstream Racing races. So we are just in the lobby and getting prepared to start this qualifying session relatively soon. And actually, before I continue, I just need to, as always, make sure that the audio is coming in clearly and correct. So I will be back in 1 second. All right, so everything is good on the audio front. So it is going to be a full grid for tonight's race, or it should be a full grid based off of the event check-in for this particular gold race that is taking place here for round 3. So this should be quite exciting. Now, I will actually go through and see what the standings are so far for. Actually, well, we'll review. So last week, for round number 2, that race took place around the Las Vegas, I think it's called the Las Vegas Strip Circuit. I believe that's what it's called. So, yep, it took place around Las Vegas, and as it was on track, it was actually Cody Lawrence who was reserving, or RK Lawrence, as I refer to him for his username while he's driving. He was the one who finished in first place for the race. However, due to a post-race time penalty he actually received, he got dropped to second place, and there's actually SSR William of the Alfa Romeo team who finished in first place. And then so Cody Lawrence, who was reserving for the Oracle Red Bull Racing team, he finished in second place. We had Meow Slayer K, who finished in third place of the Alfa Romeo team. We had Timmy P5 of the Haas team in fourth, Despy of Aston Martin in fifth, Davey of the Scuderia AlphaTauri team finishing in sixth, Nico John of the Aston Martin team finishing in seventh, Colin Edwards of Williams finishing in eighth, Vril Dox of the Ferrari team in ninth. We have Kaj of the Alpine F1 team, as it looks like the countdown is getting ready. So we're getting ready to go into this qualifying session. So Cash of the Alpine team finishing in 10th, Trent H finishing in 11th. He drives for the Williams team. And then Doug Hughes, who unfortunately on the final lap, going through what would be turn 1, had an unfortunate incident where he just lost control of the car, of his car, unfortunately, and DNF'd on the final lap. However, he did get classified, so he did finish in 12th, finishing or scoring 4 points for that race. So those are all the points scores for the race that took place last week. As with this season, it is the top 15 who finish in the points. And then as far as the season standings, so as it is right now, it is Meowsler K of the Alfa Romeo team who has 43 points. He is currently in first place in the Drivers' Championship standings. So we're just about to get into the qualifying session, so I'll just take a break from that, make sure that the settings are good. All right, so that should be it. So yes, so Meowsler K of the Alfa Romeo team currently in first place in the Drivers' Championship standings with 43 points. His teammate William in second with 34 points. We have Timmy of the Haas team in third with 24 points. Trent H of the Williams Racing team in fourth with 23 points. Cody Lawrence who's a reserve in fifth with 22 points. Lance Sharkey of the Mercedes team in sixth with 21 points. The Yuppie, who is a reserve, with 15 points in seventh. Tarzan of the Scuderia AlphaTauri team in eighth with 13 points, tied with Despy, who is in ninth, 13 points as well. And then I'll just do the top 10. So it's Davey of the Scuderia AlphaTauri team with 11 points. Rounding out the top 10 drivers, as far as the Drivers' Championship standings are concerned. However, here we are in this qualifying session here around this Bahrain circuit, and it is Korea Senpei of the McLaren team who is first out on track and leading all of these drivers as they are on their initial out laps. So, just as far as last week's race is concerned, or was concerned, a bit of a messy race, as there were 5 safety cars that took place during that race. And there was one point during the last safety car, I actually did not see the safety car is coming in sign come in, and I actually thought to myself that the race was going to finish under safety car conditions for the safety of all of the drivers, because I mean 5 safety cars in a 50% race is quite excessive. So I'm really hoping, as this is not a street circuit, so it's not a narrow circuit, I'm really hoping that there are a lot less incidents, and hopefully we do not see as many safety cars as we have seen for the previous 2 rounds. However, we are riding on board with Korea Senpei of the McLaren team. Just going through this downhill right-hander, and then here comes one of the toughest turns in the F1 game, is that turn right there. So seemed to take it slightly tentatively, but however was able to get himself around without much concern. So now going through these uphill left and right-handers, and then quite hard to spot your braking point going through this turn. However, does pretty well there, does the McLaren driver of Korea Senpei. So as he is about to go through the final turn, we'll see what the benchmark time will be that Korea Senpei does set. DRS wide open for the McLaren driver, and it's a 138.40 for the McLaren driver of Korea Senpei. And then behind him is Despy, who sets a 129.403 to put himself into provisional pole for the time being. Now riding on board with Doug Hughes. I'll just ride on board with him as he completes his qualifying lap, and I'll try and see if I can get Mike back in, as it's a 129.817 for Doug Hughes, and then SSR William with a 129.251 to put himself into provisional pole. So as it is right now, I'm just going to try and see if I can get PPR, or sorry, hold on. No, I think, yeah, so PPR Mike is actually serving a quali ban for this race. So I'm not sure if I saw, let me just make sure that I send him an invite just to make sure that, where am I going? to make sure that he is in the session, because I don't know if I saw that he disconnected, which I can't even send him an invite, unfortunately. So I will see if I have him as a friend. No, I do not. So I'm not sure if I saw if it was a disconnection, as Meowsler K sets a 128.997 to put himself onto provisional pole position. Yeah, I'm not sure if it said if PPR Mike retired or if he disconnected. So I will monitor that situation in the Discord server to see what is going on. So now riding on board with goodwill of the Red Bull team as he comes to the final turn. However, he is not deploying the battery, so he may have been on an outlap. No, he was not. He set the time, so it's a 131.474. So for the moment, I just have to try and focus to see if Timmy... Oh, sorry. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but it seems like Timmy is trying to join the lobby as a final driver on the grid in the Haas team. So, I think PPR Mike should be fine as far as being in the session. But we'll see who is currently on a flying lap. So it does look like Mr. Alan Toast is on a flying lap, and he's actually on the medium compound tires. So looks like a bit of flexing going on with the, I think, Red Bull reserve of Mr. Alan Toast. And I do know he is quite quick. So we're going to see what time he sets. It's a 129.446, puts himself into 4th place for the time being. Goodwill currently is not on a lap. He's not deploying the battery, but is he going to finish this lap? He is. So it's not going to be improvement for the Red Bull driver. I'm not sure if he's doing multiple out laps as riding on board with Crustier T puts himself into 8th with a 130.452. Now riding on board with Tarzan, who is currently in 10th place, but he is going to be on, that would be his in lap, and he's going to be going into the pits. Brildox currently on his out lap, so he will be starting a flying lap. Looks like Trent has slowed down. Yeah, so Goodwill is actually deploying the battery now. So it looked like a few warm-up laps for the Red Bull driver, but we'll ride on board with Goodwill for the rest of this lap to see how it is that he fares. So it's DRS wide open for the Red Bull driver. And it's nearly a 2/10 improvement for the Red Bull driver of Goodwill. So we'll see, and might be getting a slight tow from the driver ahead of him. So it's quite interesting. We'll see how that helps. This qualifying time for him, DRS wide open, and it's a 130.753, puts himself into 12th place for the time being. So Aston Martin heading into the pits. There's a Mercedes coming to the line. I think that was an out lap for Thug Hughes, so he should be on a qualifying lap as it is right now. And I believe Despy is starting his lap right now. Vril Dox should be finishing his first run. So we'll ride on board with the Ferrari driver and see how it is that he fares. DRS wide open, and it is a 130.281, puts himself into 8th place for the time being. Hartley just going across the start finish line. That was on his out lap, so he should be on his flying lap right now. Now riding on board with Trent, we will see what it is the Williams driver sets. It's a 129.528, puts himself into 5th place. However, that is, and this seems to be the trend of Trent, where he sets multiple laps on the same set of tires as riding on board with Jazz. It's a nearly 3/10 improvement, jumps to 8th, setting a 1:30.175. So yeah, Trent always, as Korea is nearly on a 1 second improvement, jumps to 6th with a 1:29.778. So it's slightly over 1 second improvement for the McLaren driver. Well done by Korea Senpei. So yeah, Trent does like to save a set of softs for the race. So that's on 4-lap old soft tires. He set that 1:29.528. So that is pretty good by the Williams driver. Okay, so yes, I did get confirmation from PPR Mike that he just retired from the session, so he is good in the session. Riding on board with Hartley, jumps to, or stays in 7th, yes. So it was quite a good improvement by Hartley, but does stay in 17th place for the time being. Twisted Jack sets a 1:38.12, puts himself into 15th place. So Davey's not using the battery, so he should be on an in-lap. Trent is on an in-lap as well. I believe Jazz is on an in-lap. There is an Alfa Romeo, that is William, so should be on a qualifying lap now. Behind him is his teammate, who invalidated into the pits. He goes. Sharky is going to improve. It is a 1:29.158 for Sharky. Puts himself into 2nd for the time being. And there's a McLaren that is going into the pits. And then Cash is currently on his outlap, so should be starting a lap as he crosses the start-finish line. So let us see. As we have 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in this session, I do believe that Twisted Jack is using the battery. Is not using the battery, so he is not on a flying lap at the moment. So the Alfa Romeo, that should be William. But he may have made a mistake because he is now going slow. This would be a flying lap that he is on, so he may have made a mistake and is now going slowly. Behind him is Mr. Alan Toast, who is now on a fresh set of soft tires. So he has ditched the mediums and is now on a proper flying lap and is just over 5/10 faster, but has a bit of a moment going onto the curb there. So we'll see how that affects him as he comes through the final turn, and a bit of a lockup for the reserve Red Bull driver. He is going to finish his lap, and we will see. Wow! So it's a 1:28.685 for Mr. Alan Toes. Puts himself into provisional pole position. So even with, I don't know if that is like some slight desync, but it looked like there were both lockups and kind of traction moments that Mr. Alan Toes was having. However, he was able to still improve. Now riding on board with Crustier T, improves nearly 5/10, setting a 1:29.963, puts himself into 10th place for the time being. On a lap right now is William. So I believe William did do an outlap and then another warm-up lap on these tires. So we're going to see how the Alfa Romeo driver fares as he's getting to the end of Sector 2. We will see as, 65,000 slower than his fastest time. So we'll see if the Alfa Romeo driver is able to make up any time going through this final turn. He's currently in 4th place in this qualifying session, and it is into the pits for Williams. So did not like that particular qualifying run. did the Alfa Romeo driver of Williams. So he is back into the pits. Timmy is about to cross the start-finish line to start a flying lap. Goodwill is just over 2/10 faster than his fastest time. So could be looking at 13th position and potentially 12th, depending on how he fares through this final turn. And it was pretty clean by the Red Bull driver. DRS wide open and jumps to, I believe it was 14th, jumping to with a 135.91. So currently 14th position for Goodwill. So let's see if there is anyone else on a flying lap. There is 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. So any of these drivers who are in the pits, they need to get moving, because coming out now, it's going to be quite tight with having to warm up your tires as well. So is there anyone that is on a flying lap? Goodwill just finished a flying lap. Yeah, it seems like it's all out laps for the moment. Meowsler K has just finished an out lap. So this is a flying lap for the Alfa Romeo driver, currently positioned in second place. So we will see if he will be able to find that just over 3/10 improvement to be able to top Mr. Alan Toast's time. Let's see what type of improvement it is so far for Meow Slayer K as he comes to the end of Sector 1, and he has backed out as he has invalidated. So I'm not sure if he has enough fuel in the car to be able to go for another run. He would have time to be able to come to the start-finish line to be able to do another lap. However, we will see if it's going to just be back into the pits for Meow Slayer K. So is there anyone that is on a lap currently? Does not seem so. It seems like all out laps, although some people who have just crossed the start-finish line are starting laps. So I did see... So is that an Alfa Romeo that is currently on a lap? So yeah, Meow Slayer K has invalidated. It's an AlphaTauri of Davey, who is currently on a flying lap. So we'll ride on board with the AlphaTauri driver coming through the final turn. We'll see if it is a improvement, and I believe it should be, based off of the time that I do see. Yep. So jumping to 15th with a 136.08, it does Davey. Jazz just starting a lap. Tarzan, not sure. The McLaren is into the pits. Cluster T starting a lap. Vril Docs, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that was a lap by Vril Docs. Slight improvement, but I believe does stay in 12th place. So now we're riding on board with Goodwill. It did say, I believe, a 10th and a half slower than his fastest lap, and he is into the pits. So it's going to be no higher than 14 for Goodwill. Now riding on board with Timmy. Has not set a representative lap time. And yeah, DRS wide open for the Haas drivers at the 130.067. So it's going to be 11th for the time being for the Haas driver. Now riding on board with Trent of the Williams team. We will see if it's going to be an improvement for Trent. Coming to the line, it is a 129.102, slots himself into third place. Now riding on board with William. Is it an improvement? It is, to fourth, setting a 129.116. Doug Hughes is going just slightly slower than his fastest time, so we're going to see what the Mercedes driver jumps to 8th with a 129.721. There is a Ferrari coming to the line. This is a huge improvement by Twisted Jack. Jumps to 14th with a 130.447. Cash Gaming has, or is going into the pits. Jazz, I believe, jumps to 10th with a 129.947. Is anyone else? Tarzan into the pits. And looks like Mr. Alan Toast is improving. He sets a 128.466, flexing even harder as he is able to make a slight improvement on his already provisional pole time. And coming to the line is an Aston Martin, but I believe that was Despy going into the pit. So this is the starting order for this race. I believe 29 laps around Bahrain. It is Mr. Alan Toast taking pole position. Behind him is Miao Slurke of the Alfa Romeo team. And then I believe it was Trent of the Williams team rounding out the top three. So we'll go through the top three for this qualifying session. Mr. Alan Toast in first, Meowsler K in second, Trent H in third, SSR William in fourth, Sharkey in fifth, Despy in sixth, Colin Edwards seventh, Thug Hughes in eighth, Korea Senpei in ninth, Jazz 10th, Crustier T in 11th, Timmy in 12th, Vrildox 13th, Twisted Jack in 14th, Tarzan 15th, Goodwill 16th, Davey in 17th, Cash Gaming 18th, Hartlieb 19th, and then PPR Mike, who was serving a qualifying ban for this round, will be starting at the back of the grid in 20th place. So for any of those who are potentially listening to the stream, there should be a break before we get into the race, so please do not ready up. However, do get your setups ready in case someone does ready up. So it does look like we are going to be taking this break, as it doesn't seem like anybody has readied up. So I'll just take a slight break before coming back to the broadcast for the beginning of this race. All right, so the race should be starting relatively soon, and yes, just on cue. So 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we are underway for this 29-lap race around the Bahrain circuit. And we'll see. So Alan Toast in the lead as it is. Miasler K is able to make his way up into second place. So let us see the position changes as it is. Looks like it's clean throughout, as looks like Jazz has disconnected from the session. I'm going to try and get him back in quickly before getting back to the broadcast of this race. All right, so it looks like it has been a clean getaway for this race, and we will see who is making moves at the moment. So Colin Edwards has made the top five, actually, as it is, are in the exact same position that they started the race in. So I did say Miasler K made his way past Trent. I guess Trent must have got himself a pretty good start, but Miasler K was then able to take that second place position back. So we'll ride on board with Colin Edwards. He is just behind the Mercedes driver of Sharkey, who is currently in fifth position. So this is good to see so far. We have gone through the first lap and it has been clean. Mr. Allen Toast setting a 1:34.367 to set the fastest lap for this race. Now riding on board with Colin Edwards. He is in the slipstream of Sharkey. Ahead of him, as looks like Davey has left the session, so I'm going to try and get him back in quickly. Just 1 second. So still running on board with Colin Edwards. He is still just behind Sharkey for the time being. As someone must have had a bit of a lockup there, as you're able to see all of that smoke. And as you can see there, the possible race strategies, as looks like for those who started on the mediums, it would be a medium hard strategy, as looks like Cash is just making his way past Hartley to go up into 19th place, and also looks like Twisted Jack may have made his way past Jazz to go up into 14th place. So now riding on board with Hartley as Alan Toast sets the fastest lap on lap 2. We are riding on board with Hartley. He is able to make his way alongside. It does look like Goodwill was trying to fight that back. However, Hartley is able to solidify that 19th position. But he has made a bit of an error, and that has also cost him a bit of his front wing. So that is going to be a pit stop for the McLaren driver. So now riding on board with Vril Docs, looks like he made his way past Korea Senpei to go up into into 10th place. And as it is, as looks like there's a bit of a battle between the 15th, 16th, and 17th place drivers, as it is right now. But it does look like Hartley has decided that he's not going to pit even with that damage that he has sustained. So that's an interesting call, as riding on board with Twisted Jack, he had to go onto the brakes as to not go into the back of Davey ahead of him. But it's going to be DRS for the Ferrari driver of Twisted Jack, making his way alongside. And we will see, as is it passed? Yes, it is. So Twisted Jack is now up into 13th place. So we'll ride on board with Jazz as he is right behind his teammate. But now, as it is, both AlphaTauri drivers are actually side by side at the moment. I do believe Tarzan, as it looks like, I am not sure. There's a lot of places changing, as it looks like William and Trent are making a bit of contact with each other, but Trent currently in third, SSR William in fourth place. We'll see, as we'll see if Rildox is able to make his way past. Looks like it is actually, I believe Tarzan has made his way past Twisted Jack to go up into 13th place. So there's a lot of movement that is taking place. It is somewhat hard to follow as it is, but a lot of movement as it is. And we'll actually look at the position changes. So far, Timmy has made up 5 positions. He is the biggest gainer so far in this race, making up 5 positions. Started in 12th, now in 5th place. And then the second biggest gainer is PPR Mike, who had that qualifying ban and looking like he's making his way past another driver. Yes, making his way up into 15th place. So well done by the Haas driver, finding his way up the order and now in the final points paying position. As it does look like Cash has made his way past Davey to go up into 16th, as Sharky looked like he made up a bit of a lunge on SSR William. I do believe he was in 5th, so staying in 5th for the time being. We'll ride on board with Trent coming up to the back of Meowslayer K, but not able to make his way past as it is right now. And as it is right now, SSR William is low on the battery, so quite early in the race, as we are only on lap 5 to be low on the battery. So we'll see what or how that is going to factor into the rest of this race. So Hartlieb has now decided to go into the pits. I'm now riding on board with Thug Hughes. It's DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver, but doesn't look like he's going to make a move on Timmy in front of him. So it is going to stay slotted in 8th for the time being. Now riding on board with Crustier T. And he is side by side with Korea Senpai as it is right now, and leaving a good amount of room while making that move. But Korea Senpai must have slightly lower downforce than Crustier T, able to take that 10th place position back. So well done by him. Now riding on board with Sharky. As you can see, Colin Edwards has made his way past the Mercedes driver to go up into 5th place. Looks like a bit of a battle between Thug Hughes and Timmy at the moment. So Timmy able to make his way back up into 7th, and now Despy is making his way alongside Thug Hughes. However, Thug Hughes on these softs should still have the advantage, and he does so, is able to stay in 8th place for the time being. So I'm now riding on board with Sharky, and you are able to see the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd place drivers ahead of the Mercedes driver of Sharky. As it does look like there is a bit of battling going on as it is right now. Looks like there was something taking place with Vril Docs. However, he is still in 11th place for the time being. So currently riding on board with Colin Edwards. So as it is right now, so Alfa Romeo in 2nd, Williams in 3rd, an Alfa Romeo in 4th, and then a Williams in 5th. So we'll ride on board with Trent, as it's going to be DRS for the Williams driver, as he is going to make his way alongside the Alfa Romeo driver of Trent, and making his way still alongside as Meowslayer K is trying to fight this slightly back. DRS for the Alfa Romeo driver of Meowslayer K. However, oh wow! Meowslayer K is trying to make his way alongside and making contact with Trent. And that is unfortunate, as there are yellow flags. Someone has had an off. Colin Edwards has had a slight off, and that is going to cost him a few positions. He is now down into 9th place. So a bit of contact made between Meowslayer K and Trent H, as Jazz is now back into the session. Good to see. So for the time being, I'll actually just go into Okay, so yep, it does look like Jazz has gotten himself back in. So looks like Davey is quite close behind Cash in front of him. Colin Edwards is close as there is a battle now for this 6th place position. So we'll ride on board with Thug Hughes making his way past as we have yellow flags. That would be Hartley, who has had a bit of an off, down in 20th place. So there is a battle currently for this 6th place position. Thug Hughes now in 6th place. But Colin Edwards is making his way past Despy to go up into 8th place. So after that slight mistake by the Williams driver on the previous lap, he seems to have gotten his bearings about him and is going to try, as he had to avoid Thug Hughes. And that was very good reaction time by the Williams driver of Colin Edwards to avoid Thug Hughes. So after that bit of contact, it is Thug Hughes now down in 11th place. As it looks like there is a slight battle between Cash and SSR Davey. But we'll go as Colin Edwards, as we have yellow flags in sector 3. That would be Hartley once again. So Hartley is having a few issues as it is at the moment. So riding on board with Colin Edwards, it's going to be DRS for the Williams driver. He is going to make his way alongside Timmy and what should be past Timmy going into turn 1. We will see as, yes, and a bit of a squirrely moment for the Haas driver of Timmy. So will Despy be able to take advantage of that? Nope, not enough straight, so he will have to stay slotted in 8th for the time being. So we are currently on lap 9 of 29 as yellow flags in sector 3. I do believe that would be Hartley, who is being blue flagged at the moment. Cross your T's, so gets himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. That is the first 3-second time penalty that has been issued for this race. Ooh, as Korea Senpei all over the curb, costing him traction, and we have a driver out. That's Cross your T, and we have a safety car. So now, Mr. Alan Toast, it's going to make sense for, I would believe it's going to make sense for him to go into the pits. As even if it is a 2-stop, yeah, so it's a pit stop for Mr. Alan Toast. Miasler K into the pits as well. So will this hold up his teammate? It might just slightly, as it looks like Trent is trying to get a jump on William going into the pits. So it does look like everybody is pitting as it is. As, did I see a driver go through? Oh, as Korea Senpei gets a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Brill Docks. So I'm not exactly sure, as Mike Hunt gets himself a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pits. So yeah, so everybody making their way into the pits, as this is a free pit stop. And it does look like Hartley was able to unlap himself. So that is also good to see. So might be able to make a pit stop and put on a fresher set of tires and then try and make his way back up the field. So we are currently on lap 10 of 29. You look at, so Thug Hughes would have been one who started on the soft tires, and then let me see. as I'll have to go into the stream to see who the other soft runner was. So the other soft runner was Cash, who is currently in 18th place. So this safety car, or sorry, in 15th place. I always get confused with Cash and Jazz. And they're both driving for the Alpine team as well. I always confuse their two names. So it was Cash and Thug Hughes who were on the softs to begin this race. So this safety car definitely does serve as an advantage for both of them. Now the question is, as Cash is definitely going for a two-stop race, I don't know if Thug Hughes will be able to make it until the end. You may have to slightly, now with the fact that he is in 14th place, we're going to have to see what his pace is like on the set of hard tires, because it's one of those things where you have a bunch of medium runners ahead of him. Only 5 hard runners ahead of him. The medium runners ahead of him are going to have to pit for sure. I don't believe that they'll be able to carry these mediums to the end of the race. So it's one of those things where, albeit there could be another safety car that comes out as well. But just let's say, hypothetically speaking, there is no more safety cars for the end of this race, or for the remainder of this race. It's one of those things where you have to kind of assess if you're going to play the track position game, however, have more worn tires, or try and go very long on these hards and then pit for a fresh set of sauce. However, then that would beg me to ask the question, would he have gone onto a set of mediums? So I don't know. There's many different things that could potentially play out, as we have, what would it be, 18 laps remaining in this race. So it's going to be interesting to see what takes place, and the safety car is not going to be coming in this lap, as Hartlieb is really moving, trying to get himself back around to catch up to the back of the field, which I do believe he will be able to do quite easily. So as it is, the lead runners are on lap 12. So we are on lap 12 of 29, and the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. So to begin lap 13, we'll be racing, or green flag conditions, and racing will commence once again. All right, so the safety car is coming in this lap, and just talking with Cody, the league owner, which was trying to get Jazz back into session. I do believe I did see him get back into the session, and I wasn't able to invite him. So as Doug Hughes gets himself a 5-second time penalty for a collision with PPR Mike. So I think it might. So now this almost sentences Doug Hughes to finishing the race, because if, as we are now back underway, if this is something where Doug Hughes does want to get that penalty removed, he may not want to serve, or he could still serve the penalty, as we're trying to see as a lot of squabbling going through these first few turns. Even if he were to serve his time penalty, if he just records his race director, he can get 5 seconds taken off, as it looks like something has happened. I'm not sure what it is that happened, but Doug Hughes is now at the back of the field. And does he have damage? It does not look like it. However, Davey is into the pits. We have yellow flags in sector 2. I'm not sure what is going on, but it's a lot of yellow flags that are taking place. But it does seem like everything is good to go. So now riding on board with Tarzan of the AlphaTauri team. Quite close to the back of Korea Senpei. However, not able to make a move. So I'm now riding on board with Timmy, and he is right behind his teammate of PPR Mike, which PPR Mike has done a good job so far in this race. After serving that qualifying ban starting in 20th, he is currently up in 12th place. So this has been a good showing by the Haas driver. However, as it is right now, his teammate, as Mr. Alan Toast sets a 132.241 to set the fastest lap of the race. Timmy makes his way past his teammate of Mike, PPR Mike, to go up into 12th place. As it doesn't look like PPR Mike will be fighting this one back. However, Cash is along the inside of PPR Mike, and we'll see, getting a pretty decent exit. Does Cash, will he try and go for this move? He will. Oh, was not alongside enough to be able to go for that move, so he will stay slotted in 14th, and then his teammate Jazz behind him, currently in 15th. So we are currently on lap 14 of 29. Just coming off of safety car conditions at the end of lap 12 going into lap 13. Crustier T, who DNF'd from the race to bring out that safety car, as now watching Timmy make his way past Tarzan to go up into 11th place. So Timmy started this race in 12th position, as DRS is now enabled. I do believe I remember seeing Timmy slightly higher before the safety car did come out. However, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it does look like he's making his way back or up the field as it is right now. Ooh, at Korea Senpei and Timmy have made contact with each other. And I am not sure if there is any potential damage. It does not look like it. So luckily it does look like both drivers were able to avoid getting any damage to their cars, albeit it does look like Timmy does have some slight understeer, as there is an Alpine there ahead. That did look like, I'm not sure if it was Cash who had a bit of a moment there, but it was one of the Alpine drivers, and then you saw Korea Senpei there of the McLaren team going slightly wide. Now Timmy is going to make his way alongside. Will he make his way past the McLaren driver? He does. So that is Timmy. As looks like this battle between both of these drivers at the moment is quite fierce and leaving each other room this time around. So that is good to see. Timmy making his way up into 14th place. So I'm currently riding on board with Thug Hughes, and it's going to be DRS for the Mercedes driver, as it looks like Twisted Jack has made his way past his teammate to go up into 8th place. And what is happening now? I think Cash has made his way past Korea Senpei to go up into 13th. We have yellow flags. That would be Davey, who is currently in 19th place. And something may have just happened with Hartley as well. As you see the McLaren there of Korea Senpei going very wide coming through that turn. So I don't know if it is slightly aggressive driving or some different lines it looks like being taken by Korea Senpei at the moment. Unless maybe there's potentially some damage on that McLaren car, because it does seem like the McLaren car is slightly out of sorts. However, the McLaren car now making its way past Cash to go up into 14th, as well as Thug Hughes making his way past Cash to go up into 15th. So now riding on board with Tarzan, as Colin Edwards sets a 132.219 to set the fastest lap of the race. I do believe we will be seeing Tarzan make his way past Twisted Jack, to make his way, past Twisted Jack to go up into 9th place, as Jazz makes his way past Mike. As we have yellow flag, that is a McLaren that is at the back of the field. So Jazz and Timmy making their way past PPR Mike to go up into 11th and 12th respectively. And I'm not sure if I saw that Goodwill made his way past Cash Gaming. So there are a lot of overtakes that are taking place in this race at the moment, and we're currently on lap 17 of 29. So what would it be? 12 and a half laps remaining in this race. So I'm currently riding on board with Thug Hughes. It is DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver. Although I cannot see that he is deploying the battery, he will have the overspeed and should be able to make his way past the McLaren of Korea Senpei. Is Korea Senpei fighting it back? Maybe going for a slight switchback move, but not able to make it work. So Thug Hughes is up into 14th place, as Goodwill almost goes into the back of Korea Senpei. So what it does look like is a lot of the front runners are basically staying put in their places, but everyone from what it looks like to be 9th place down, as now we see Jazz and Twisted Jack making their way past Brill Docks to go up into 9th and 10th respectively. It seems like everyone from 9th place downwards are absolutely fighting at the moment. Now we're riding on board with Twisted Jack, able to make his way alongside and pass. And will Timmy, it didn't look like he was going to try and make a move on Jazz, but will stay slotted in 11th place for the time being. As I'm not sure, I think Goodwill, there you see Goodwill ahead of Korea Senpei, getting himself a 3-second time penalty to tack onto his race time. As we have yellow flags, looks like Hartley has had a slight moment. So now it looks like we're going to finally have some action in the, or for the top 8 drivers. So as it is right now, Colin Edwards is right behind his teammate of Trent H. So Trent H in third, Colin Edwards in fourth. Meowsler K is actually catching up to the back of Alan Toast. So this is going to be interesting to see what takes place now, riding on board with Goodwill and going for that lunge, but does leave a respectable amount of room. Both drivers leaving a respectable amount of room for each other, as Jazz has made his way past Twisted Jack to go up into ninth. And now we have Goodwill making his way alongside Korea Senpei to go up into 15th place. So this is good to see. It's a lot of overtakes that are taking place in this race, and the driving has been clean for the most part. So now riding on board with Sharky 505. I do believe his name used to be Land Sharky. I may call Sharky Land Sharky from time to time. That's what I know his name as. So nonetheless, Sharky or Land Sharky currently in 6th place for the time being. We'll actually go and see, as it looks like Thug Hughes is right on the back of PPR Mike. As Davey gets himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. It did look like Trent was going to make his way past, but wasn't enough straight. There you see Thug Hughes making his way past Mike, PPR Mike, to go up into 13th place. So now riding on board with Jazz, he has made his way past Tarzan to go up into 8th. Looks like Kaj of the Alpine team is into the pits. Now let us actually take a look at the tire situation. So as far as I know, I have not done any preparation for the Platinum race as it is yet. So I'm not exactly sure. But I do not think that these medium runners will be able to make it to the end of the race. And it may even be hard, as riding on board with Tarzan, he makes his way past Jazz to go up into 8th place. I'm actually believing that it might actually be slightly difficult for the hard runners to even make it to the end of the race as well. I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I have not done any preparation for this track as yet. So we will have to see. As we have yellow flags, there is a McLaren that is going slightly slow. I do believe that is Hartley, who is just not having a good time around this Bahrain circuit. However, now we are riding on board as... What has happened there? Oh, Twisted Jack is into the pits. Yeah, so I don't believe, just based off of this alone, Twisted Jack is now putting on a fresh set of soft tires. So it doesn't look like these medium runners are going to be able to make it to the end unless whoever is able to make it to the end on mediums is a very, very serious tire whisperer. But I just cannot see it happening. So Twisted Jack coming out of the pits, slotting himself into 16th place. And with these fresh set of soft, we'll see if he is able to do a slight undercut on any driver that may pit ahead of him, or who was ahead of him. As we have yellow flags, I do believe that is Davey of the AlphaTauri team. So Meowsler K is actually just outside of the 1 second window, however, is getting DRS. However, Trent with DRS and using Slipstream off of Meowsler K. Unfortunately, not able to make his way past as it is right now, but we'll see if Trent gets himself a better exit. DRS wide open for the Williams driver. Will he be able to make his way past? This time, it is side by side with the Alfa Romeo driver, and yes, Trent is able to make his way past K to go up into second place. You do see there is some slight battling that is going on behind as well. As looks like Jazz, we'll see if he is late on the brakes. Nope. But able to take a much better line there on the inside. However, Timmy's still able to stay in ninth place. So now riding on board with SSR William. He is making his way past Sharky to go up into fifth place. However, Sharky, with what seems like better traction, making his way alongside as William is low on the battery. So it does look like Jazz was able to make his way past as we have yellow flags as Davey looks like he has retired into the pits. So DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver of Sharky with William being low on the battery. It's going to be an easy move for Sharky. However, William is going to get DRS. Sorry, excuse me. I had to yawn there, unfortunately. So SSR William makes his way past Sharky to reclaim that fifth place position. So now riding on board with Vril Docks, DRS wide open for the Ferrari driver, but will stay slotted in 12th place. So as these drivers come to the start-finish line, it's going to be 6 laps remaining in this race. And I still have the same question. Are these medium runners going to go to the end of the race on these tires? Like, we're currently riding on board with Colin Edwards. I do see some sliding that is going on. However, it is DRS wide open for Colin Edwards. He's now making his way past K. Oh, as Trent is actually alongside and now past Mr. Alan Toast to take first place. So we're currently riding on board with Colin Edwards. We'll actually go on board with Mr. Alan Toast. Will he be able to reclaim that first place position? It is going to be side by side, and nope, Trent has yielded to give Mr. Alan Toast that first place position. Now, it does look like Jazz has made his way past Timmy. No, it looks like there's a fight going on between Jazz and Timmy for this 9th place position, but it looks like Jazz is going to secure it. Now riding on board with Doug Hughes as braking much later and is able to take that 10th place position, and Vril Docks making his way past as well to go up into 11th. As Timmy is going slightly wide and maybe making way for his teammates. As with PPR Mike being on the hard tires, might be able to fight a lot better. As there you can see Timmy is having some problems on his medium tires at the moment. So this is what I was saying. Doug Hughes is going to be able to, we'll actually ride on board with Trent. DRS wide open for the Williams driver, making his way alongside and past Mr. Alan Toast to go up into first place. And then what is happening with Sharky and William as they are going side by side as both drivers touch momentarily. Mr. Alan Toast is actually able to go back and reclaim that first place position. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens between these two drivers of Mr. Alan Toast and Trent H. I do believe Mr. Alan Toast does have a slight advantage being on hard tires, as we now see Timmy is into the pits to take off his medium set of tires. So we are currently riding on board with Mr. Alan Toast currently in first place. Behind him is Trent H of the Williams team. Behind Trent is his teammate Colin Edwards in third. Meowsler K currently in fourth. SSR William is approximately 7.5 seconds behind his teammate in fifth, as I do believe there is a slight fight going on between Twisted Jack as Goodwill gets himself, and there you see Goodwill is in this fight with Twisted Jack. So Twisted Jack able to reclaim that 14th place position with those fresh set of soft tires. Ooh, having a bit of an oversteer moment does Twisted Jack. However, those fresh softs should be able to favor as slight contact made between William and Sharky. But it is DRS for the Alfa Romeo driver. Will Sharky go late on the brakes? He does. And is side by side between both drivers. As Sharky does yield, stays in sixth for the time being, as Timmy gets himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. He is currently in 17th place. So now riding on board with Thug Hughes, as I believe he did make his way past Jazz to go up into 9th. So I still do have to wait and see. We have 3 and some change laps remaining in this race, as the front runners are actually coming through the final turn. So will be 3 laps remaining in this race. Are these medium tire runners going to be able to make it to the end of the race? So right on board with Trent H, and he is going to stay slotted behind Mr. Alan Toast for the time being. And behind him is his teammate Colin Edwards. Trying to ride on board with some of these medium runners and see if I can get a read on how they are faring on these 17-lap old tires, as Mr. Alan Toast has gone slightly deep into that turn. So quite an interesting scenario with Mr. Alan Toast being on the hard tires, and he is actually making the one making a mistake there. So we did see Jazz getting close to the back of Thug Hughes, who is ahead of him, however, does stay slotted in 10th for the time being. So as the drivers come through, or the front runners come through the final turn, it is going to be 2 laps remaining in this race. Mr. Alan Toast, reserving for the Red Bull team, currently in first, but it is DRS wide open for Trent. He is making his way past as maybe alongside Mr. Alan Toast. It did look like Colin Edwards was going to try and go for that move as well. But as you can see, who is it that gets DRS? Did no one get DRS? What is happening? Both Mr. Alan Toast and Trent H, neither of them got DRS. So I'm not exactly sure what it is that took place there. Maybe one of them forgot to turn on the DRS or didn't realize that they got DRS. That is quite funny. So we'll see, as it looks like there is a slight battle going on. Has DRS wide open for Vildock, so he is going to solidify that 11th place position ahead of PPR Mike. And as it is right now, I'll actually go through the position changes. As it is right now, me personally, I would give PPR Mike the driver of the day. He has made up 8 positions from the start of this race, starting in 20th. So we'll see what the game dictates, but I personally see it as PPR Mike having the driver of the day as it is, and he may actually make his way up into 11th by the end of this race. But we are now on the final lap of this race. PPR Mike up into 11th. Trent making his way up into first place. Ooh, that's a bit of a lockup for Mr. Alan Combs. Colin Edwards has made a mistake. The medium tires just could not hang on. Here we are now on board with Mr. Alan Toes going side by side with Trent H. Trent H able to take that first place position, but now we have Mr. Alan Toes going deep on the brakes through that turn. Trent able to take that first place position. Will his tires hold up? We will see. It is DRS for the reserve Brandwell driver of Mr. Alan Toast. And behind him is Meow Slayer K. But we will see. We'll stay on board with the driver in second place. Will Mr. Alan Toast be able to make his way past Trent? Trent looks like he has gotten himself a good exit and not deploying the battery at the moment. Mr. Alan Toast has quite a bit of battery. He is alongside Trent H. Trent H is waiting on the brakes. They leave each other the room. Trent H is going to win this race. What a finish by Trent H. A phenomenal win by the Williams driver of Trent H. We will now ride on board with Thug Hughes. He is coming alongside Tarzan, and he is later on the brakes, but they're still going side by side. So we'll ride on board. Will Jazz. So no, it's Tarzan finishing in 8th. Thug Hughes in 9th, dropping to 10th with that 5-second time penalty. Actually, I guess that was for the collision under safety car conditions. But what a finish to this race. Trent H able to beat Mr. Alan Toast by 91 thousandths of a second. So here I was thinking that the hard tires would be the tire that would be advantageous, and therefore it being Mr. Alan Toast having the advantage. However, it is Trent H who was able to strategically maneuver through those final few laps and finish this race in first place. And as it is right now, it's Tarzan that gets the driver of the day by the game. I'd like to see how many positions that he made up in this race. So there you have it. I'll go through the final finishing order for this race. So it is Trent H finishing in first, Mr. Alan Toast in second, Meowsler K third, Colin Edwards finishing in fourth and also setting the fastest lap of the race. We have Sharky finishing in fifth, SSR William in sixth, Despy in seventh, Tarzan in eighth, making up 7 positions. So good drive by Tarzan. Jazz finishing in 9th, Thug Hughes finishing in 10th, Real Docs finishing 11th, Twisted Jack in 12th, And PPR Mike finishing in 13th, so made up 7 places as well. So makes sense as to why Tarzan got the driver of the day. Korea Senpei finishing in 14th. Goodwill finishing in 15th. Cash 16th. Timmy in 17th, Hartlieb in 18th, and then the 2 drivers who DNF'd from this race being Davey and Crustier T. So what a race this was. And only one safety car that took place for this race. Very good to see. A lot of overtakes that took place in this race and some pretty clean driving that I saw throughout this, or that we saw throughout this race. As with all the overtakes and the side-by-side driving, there was a lot of room that was left by drivers that were going side by side with each other. So that was very good to see. So for next week, the race will be taking place around Austria. I am pretty sure. Let me just check quickly. Yeah, so next week it's going to be Austria. It's going to be a one-shot qualifying and then a sprint race followed by the 50% race. So there are a lot of points on the table for next week's race around Austria. And then this upcoming Tuesday is the platinum race that will be taking place around Bahrain, which I will be going up against the likes of Trent, who won this gold tier race that we just watched. And then there are other drivers who do drive in the gold tier who are also full-timers in the platinum tier as well. So I would like to thank you for tuning into this broadcast of Slipstream Racing, the gold tier. This is season 7 and this was round number 3 that took place around Bahrain. Make sure that you, well, if you would like to, you can subscribe to the channel, as I will be providing the commentary and broadcasts for the rest of the gold tier races for the rest of the season. And then if you would like to like the video as well, you can do so as well. For myself, Kema, I would like to thank you for tuning into this broadcast. And as always, I'd like to say, take care.